This is the Think Business Podcast. Here we talk about the inspiring stories of people that are in the business world. We cover everything from finance, marketing, to the ways businesses are evolving right now. Join us as we dive deep into the minds that think business. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tarazi Mahmood, and today we have a very interesting guest on the podcast. He is an entrepreneur. He comes from Thailand. He has done a lot with his life, and I feel like he has a very interesting story for us today. So, without any further ado, let's get Tony Cyrus on the podcast. Tony, how are you?
Hi, thank you for this introduction. But one thing I need to mention, I'm not originally from Thailand, though. I mean, I'm an expat here.
Oh,
I moved here several years ago. Yeah. So the point of this podcast was to sharing my life experience because most of my followers were asking me, okay, we don't know much about your background. You don't know where you're coming from or what happened to you. And then how do you get all this kind of inspiration and then things like that. So that's why it was the idea. I said, okay, maybe would be somebody like you could, have an interview and then I would explain as much as I could.
I mean, definitely. So let's
Yeah.
just start this off by asking you where you're originally from and
Correct.
how your ambitious entrepreneurial journey began, why you chose this side of following something that resonated with you. So tell us a bit about your previous life, where you started off, what were some of the hurdles that you went through, and how you overcame all of them.
Oh, okay. There is something that I can't really, expose right now at the moment. The reason is because of my family might be in trouble. That's why publicly I haven't said exactly where I'm originally from. But I can tell that I'm from a country that the moment I was born, I realized I was a victim of an environment and government and the regime that they were fully in control of everybody. So that means you were born in a prison that you later in life will realize you do not have certain rights, you do not have your freedom, and you always been discriminated. And after that, what happened was, so I went, I started my life. Yeah, most of the experience I have had was negative because of discrimination from the people in school, in society, by government, by most. Even here, still, I'm discriminated. There are more than that. Actually, I'm writing a book. Most 80-90% has been done and not finished yet. So I want to put all my stories, all details in the book, and people can go and read it and find out exactly, and they will know where I'm from. But I want to tell you this, that in a Western world standard, the place that I was born is the worst country, in the worst area, in the worst city, in the worst neighborhood, and all these bad things that happened to me. One time, what happened was I was abused physically, by people that they tried to, fool me when I was much younger. I was abused by my father as well, So it's all these things. If I want to go really in detail into it, it's going to take a lot of time, That's why.
Yeah, definitely, it's going to take some time. But what I want to know is, do you have some stories that you can tell us, and so that our audience can understand, get inspired out of it? That is my main, target when I'm asking.
Yeah, the main story about me actually is negativity that people, or I mean, as I mentioned, the moment I was born, I exposed with that society, government, and my father as well. All right. So I remember when I was much younger, when I went to school, I didn't have, I remember my father didn't support me financially, and he didn't have money, or he just hid it from us. And then he bought us like secondhand clothes, oversized clothes. And I went to school. People started to make fun of me. They started, to humiliate me or, discriminate me or say, hey, you don't have even money to buy this, so what the hell are you doing here? So all these things enforces me not to go to school, stop going, and because I felt really insecure. I mean, those who made me insecure, and the cause of that was I wasn't, at the same levels that they were expecting. And I stopped going to school, I dropped out, and then my father found out and he started to beat me up. And so I had to go back to school again, but I had to tolerate all those things, But again, I dropped out. And what happened the moment I dropped out was before I finished my high school, my father found out. And then that was the moment that my life was changed, because he was really furious. He just kicked me out. He said, I'm not going to waste my time or anything else with you. So you are not my son anymore, because you don't listen to me. You are not a normal person. You are not a person who needs to be educated. You don't deserve education. You better go out, kill yourself or whatever. So that was for me the turning point in my life. In that time I was around 16 or 17 years old. So I went from one city to another. I didn't have places to sleep. And it was really cold outside, for almost 2-3 weeks. I had to sleep on the street, and it wasn't sleeping. I mean, I had to survive. And so what happened was, until I found a church, they could accommodate me for a while, and I met some people, and then gave me some opportunity, which again, total different story, because I didn't know what else I can do. I went into depression, and then I didn't have the skills, I didn't have education, and no support. So, and my father, he didn't even care. But my mom was crying like crazy. And when I called home, and she was the one who was talking to me, and she said, yeah, come back. I said, I can't, because he doesn't want me to. Anyway, so long story short, then I had to, leave that country to go start my journey in different countries. And how I made it was by working like 18 hours a day, right? And just saving on my cost of living or eating, things like that. Because I had a goal. I said, I'm not going to stay here because I'm not welcome anymore. When my family, they treat me that way, or people in school treat me that way. Even government, discriminates you because you are not what they want you to be, or people. So, okay, for me, maybe better to go somewhere else, another country. So I moved to West for a while, and I started to look for a job. Again, I exposed and encountered with different type of discrimination as well, because for me, it was pain on and on, it was nonstop. And the moment I, entered the airport, I was discriminated until right into the city. So I started again from zero, because I was zero anyway. I started from zero and started from all those pains. And worst of all, I didn't know anybody there. And my English was so broken because I wasn't able to speak properly. And when you don't speak properly, you don't have a good education, you don't have a good background, and people don't give a shit to you. They say, yeah, so what the hell are you doing here? And I had to go through all those process the same way that I did in my previous my home country. But the good thing was, I was lucky until one day I found somebody. I work at a restaurant as a waiter. One of the guests was a successful entrepreneur and a person that I always wanted to be. And he told me, "Yeah, you don't look happy, and what's wrong with you?" And I said, nobody asked me this question. Why do you think I'm like this? He said, because this is my job to know people. I mean, I'm a person who gets to know people easily, and then I can feel what they feel. He said, all right. So for first time, somebody really showed an empathy, or kind of, they show that they care about you. And I became very interested to listen to his story. And he told me he had similar story like mine. And that was inspiring for me. And he told me that, hey, listen, I know what you have, because I had a similar issue in my life. And he gave me his business card that day, and he told me that you can come up to my office next day, and then we can talk about it. Maybe I can help you with something. And I was a little bit doubtful, honestly, because I said, who the hell is this guy? how on earth somebody cares about me, because I was being bullied or humiliated or discriminated, and all of a sudden somebody comes up to you and who's more, more successful. I mean, I wasn't anything anyway. And then why is that? So I was, so doubtful, because when you always have negative experience in your life, and you really lose your self-belief, you don't really, you don't think another way, like positive way. What if it could go right instead of it could go wrong? Anyway, so I couldn't sleep that night. I was looking at the business card. I was thinking what he was saying. He said, okay, listen, you have nothing to lose. You're a loser anyway. So just go and see what happens. Maybe he's a murderer. At least he might help me to kill me, and we'll be happy, right?
Yeah, why not? I mean, you got nothing to lose.
Yeah, exactly. So that was for me another turning point to meet that person, and he hired me as his assistant, and he told me that you just follow exactly what I tell you, step by step, and you will see if your life doesn't change, then you can say or do anything you want to do, or you can resign immediately. And he told me that you just give me your 90 days, 3 months or 4 months of your time. I don't want you to work for me for forever, because I believe you can do better than me even. So yeah, I just was really doubtful again. I said, I already got a job, in a restaurant, and they are paying me okay, and I have something to eat. I have a place to, sleep. But why should I, again, make trouble for myself and then lose that job? And I don't know if this guy's reliable or not. But anyway, so I told him, please give me time. So it took me at least a week to think. Then I said, okay, I want to risk. So far, he didn't do anything bad to me. Why not? Let's risk it. So what happened was I said, okay, I accept. Let's do it. So then he started to teach me while I was his assistant. He started to teach me, okay, how to talk to people, how to think about life, or how to overcome your problems by focusing on what is most important to you. He told me that I know you have lots of negativity like I did in the past. Turn them into a power, personal power. So he told me that the only way you can succeed with your background is to just revenge from those people. And I said, yeah, I really want to do, but I don't know what to do. I'm not the person who want to kill people. He said, what are you talking about? We're not talking about killing anybody. We're talking about revenging by showing that whatever they did to you, you became stronger and you even become more successful. And that's how they can see your success and your revenge that way.
Wow,
and he told
that
me
is
that.
amazing.
I said, yeah, exactly. And I said, nobody ever told me this. Because in my neighbors, people who wanted to revenge each other, they go and stab each other with a knife. If somebody's angry at the other person or kills it. And then I said, no, I don't want to. But when he explained that, then I said, yeah, wow, now I know what you're talking about. So he told me about his story. It was very similar to my story. And when I saw where he was right now, that time, and I said, I accept whatever you say. Now you pointed on my problems and my weaknesses, and I want to give 100% of my trust to you, and then let's do it. So long story short, so he put me all this process. Okay, first of all, I was so overweight. I was 135 kilos, and I still have those pictures on my social media anyway. And I show some people, they don't believe, say, yeah, that's fake. He doesn't look like you. Of course. Well, how he should? Now I lost around 45 kg. The person looks different. And that picture is for around 16, 17 years ago. I'm not the same person anymore. So again, what happened was I started to, transform my body, my mindset, and my knowledge. I acquired more knowledge. I learned more about business. He said, in order to be successful for you in your background, because similar to mine, you need to be an entrepreneur. Otherwise, first of all, you're not going to go to school because you already hated it and you don't have enough time to do it. Instead of doing that, let me teach you how to make money without even, relying on anybody. Just rely on yourself. So, and he taught me to become my own boss and I don't need to have a big corporation or big company in order to make enough money to live and enjoy life. So that exactly happened. I mean, I changed all these problems because of only one thing: revenge. And he told me the only success you could have by having, take a big action and be successful, and that's how you revenge from those people. And the consequences, of course, is positive for you and it's negative for them. Why? Because they will hate you. And then he warned me. He told me, listen, I have had many haters. He said that my friends even turned to be my enemies. And I said, how is it possible? And he said, even some of my family members became like that. I said, really? What did you do to them? I said, nothing. He said, I just did whatever they wanted me not to do. For example, he told me that his father didn't want him to become entrepreneur. He wanted to ask him to become a doctor, but he didn't do it. So his father started to dislike him, or things like that. And then when I transformed my life and my body and everything, it exactly happened to me as well. So what happened was people, they start to dislike me. People start to talk bad about me. Or they start to say, yeah, he's a fake person. He's not possible. Why somebody without any confidence, without any education that, can overcome those problems and still survive? And especially in this country. Okay, worst of all, in this country.
No, actually, the thing was that I was so blown away by your story. I mean, when I heard about you, I wasn't exactly sure. I knew that everybody goes through problems, but your story is on a whole different level. And I was just so intrigued by the whole story that I just thought maybe why not? I need to listen to the whole thing. So that's why I did not interrupted you in the middle.
Right.
So yeah, let's talk a bit about your entrepreneurial side of things. When you transformed yourself, when you went through that horrible time, and you took the time out for yourself, and you went about through change. And what happened afterward? What was the first ever venture you started out? What was your plan? What was your thought process behind it? Tell us something about your entrepreneurial side of things.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, so since I learned that I couldn't get any job anywhere because of lack of education and experience and lack of expertise, and people didn't want to give me. And even I had one-time experience that I worked for a company that they discriminated me. They treated me very badly. Why? Because I'm always been inferior to majority of people. I mean, people who had or have more education or more expertise in one field. But my expertise in field, over years, so it's been different things. Like, for example, why I became entrepreneur, because I realized that living in like a corporate, working in a corporate, first of all, I need to have qualifications, which I don't. And I said, okay, if I go and work in a small company, okay, I want to see maybe they can accept, which I got one-time chance to work there. And I said, okay, I got discriminated again. So, okay, it's going to be again painful. Why should I work for somebody? I should do something for myself, and future will, appreciate me, the change that I have done. So it's all about, again, putting myself in uncomfortable situation, and then realizing that the only way for me to succeed in life. So people would say, hey, do you consider yourself successful? I said, I do, because my background, it was horrible. And most people don't know it. That's why they think in order to be successful, you need to have a private jet and things like that, or big mansion. But for me, my success was to be free, independent, and happy, and just, creating income without working for it. That's for me became something like, let's say, money-making machine. So that was always in my dream, that I want to be free, happy, and worrying about money. Money, just generates by itself because I create the machine. So yeah, then I started to do different businesses. Now what I'm doing e-commerce and I do stock trading, and apart from that, sometimes people ask me for a different advice in business and sales, or life mentorship. They want inspiration, and yeah, now this is how I live my life. Yep.
So you are a motivational speaker, a business consultant. You got your own e-commerce going on for you. It
But
sounds really.
honestly, I'm not a good speaker. No, I'm not a motivational speaker. I just like to, if people ask me something, I like to share my own experience. Because anyway, I'm an introvert person, and this is, as I mentioned, my first time to do podcast.
Mhm.
Because I wasn't really. I'm not a person who claims, because if you claim to be somebody, you have to present yourself well, which I'm not. I'm not a good speaker, and I'm just a person who shares his experience right now by podcast. So most of the time, what I do, I put it in my book or on my content, that as an introvert. So anyway,
Yeah, you
another thing
talk.
I learned is that,
Yeah, you
sorry,
talked
yeah.
about your content right now. So how do you create your content? What inspires you to get those ideas, those creative juices flowing within your head? So how do you go about doing that? Can we
My
talk about?
inspiration all comes from people, especially the negative ones. If I wouldn't have those people, I wouldn't have any inspiration. I wouldn't be who I am right now. And again, all this happened to me. It has only one reason: for me to grow. Because why? Some people like me are really lazy. If they are, in their comfort zone, and if they have everything they want to, and they realize nothing in their lives. So for me, was all negativity, helped me to grow and grow my wisdom, grow my personality, and in many different fields. So that's all come from people who were negative or still are. For example, now recently I had an issue with one of my employee, and it was worst of all I ever experienced here. I mean, she was really rude to me. She treated me bad, and I never blamed her. The only person I blamed was myself, because when you make a wrong decision, in order to to improve yourself, you have to blame yourself and look at what did you do wrong. So when I look at it, of course I was fooled by her presentation, her appearance, and her manner. Then at the end it turned out to be she was somebody else, kind of evil person. So again, I never right now blame anybody anymore. I only blame myself why I'm not strong enough, why I'm not good enough, why I'm so dumb that I trust people easily, or I hire people that they are not competent enough, So that's what I learned.
I mean, even after all of that, you still have managed to build a life for yourself. And that is something that I feel like is more or less what most people are trying to do right now, especially in these COVID times. Because right
Correct.
now, something that is the world is lacking right now is hope. And I feel like you
Yeah.
bring that to the table. People like you
Yeah.
that have gone through so much and that have endured so much wrong with themselves throughout their lives. I mean, you are a beacon of light to everyone around the world, and everyone that is right now sitting at home, sitting at work, listening to this podcast. I'm sure they are going to get something out of this podcast. And regardless of that being hope, regardless of that being a simple smile on their face, I mean, we need more people like you in this world right now. And just
Right.
listening to you right now, I feel inspired. I feel like I can conquer the world, and I really want to talk more to you right now, but I feel like due to the time constraint, we have to cut it short. So I'm
Right.
just gonna jump straight up asking you the question.
Okay.
What do you think the definition of success for you is right now? Do you feel successful? How do you define success?
Actually, everybody has his own or her own definition of success. But my personal definition is freedom, ability to live your life or to do anything you want to do or to be wherever you want to be or spend your time with whomever you want to spend. So that's for me is a success. But maybe for many other people, success definition is, as I mentioned earlier, having a big mansion, or having a private jet and and things like that. No, for me, for example, right now, if I want to travel, if it wouldn't COVID, I can travel without worrying about anything. So that's for me is a success. I can work anywhere, anytime if I want to. I don't need to have anybody above me who call himself or herself boss, because I just realized the only way for me to succeed is just to be your own boss. And in order to be free, you need to create your own business and become your own boss. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Freedom is the best source of getting motivation for yourself, being inspired, being happy about your life. I feel like
Right.
Because working for somebody else, following and pursuing their dream is not going to make you happy. What's going to make you happy is when you actually stand up on your own 2 feet, when you actually have the courage to say no to people, to actually accept what has happened to you, and you have used that as fuel, something that has your experiences, honestly, they're horrible. I wish nobody has to go through them ever. And you used all of that negativity as fuel for your success. And I think that is really inspiring. And people would love to know more about you. So could you tell us where to find you on social media? And you mentioned that you were writing a book. So do you have a title for that book?
The title still not 100%. I'm not really sure about the title yet. But
where can people find you online?
Oh, on Instagram or Facebook. Yeah, mainly I'm more active on Instagram and Facebook, not YouTube, because as I said, I'm not a person who likes to, I tried, but I realized it's not me. People say, you should do YouTube channel, things like that. I said, okay, I don't want to do it for money because YouTube doesn't pay you anything much. But I thought, okay, I want to do it maybe to inspire people. But then I said, this is not real me. Who is real me? A person who likes to show instead of who likes to talk. I like to show what I can do instead of I talk about it. Like, hey, this, in order to be successful, you should do this. Let me show you this. You see? So, but many people out there, they talk about it. So that's the reason I didn't continue my YouTube. Yeah, but right now what I'm doing on social media, Facebook and Instagram, right? And people, if they want to find me, they can go on at Tony M. Cyrus. Yeah, and they will find me there.
Right, Tony M. Cyrus. That's TonyMCyrus.
Right.
Right. Thank you very much, Tony. I wish you all the best for your entrepreneurial endeavors. I wish you all the best in life. And I feel that you truly will make a change in this world.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Tony. Take care.
All right, you too.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. If you enjoyed it, consider liking and share the podcast with someone you think would benefit out of it.